All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this Vince stuff. I wanted to open the show with Vince, but we'll close the show with Vince because this is just speaking of carnies, right?
The
Now,
king of the
what we're about to talk about is next level from Court Bauer. So I don't want anybody to think that we're comparing Court and Vince together because there's levels to carnyism, there's levels to scumbag, and Vince McMahon takes the cake, right?
always.
I don't actually think Court Bauer is a bad guy. I don't think he's a scumbag.
No, I don't either.
I think he's just a shameless promoter
I
and
agree.
he's willing to do whatever it takes. But I don't think he'd actually hurt anybody,
No, I agree
right?
100%.
I think him and MLW are pretty harmless. But
Mhm.
here's Vince McMahon. He posted this 2 days ago. He says the case is closed. Today ends nearly 3 years of investigation by different governmental agencies. There's been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating and what the outcome would be. As today's resolution shows, much of that speculation was misguided and misleading. In the end, there was never anything more to this than minor accounting errors with regard to some personal payments that I made several years ago while I was CEO of WWE. I'm thrilled that I can now put this all behind me. This motherfucker thinks that he's off the hook now, or he knows that he's not off the hook. He is purposely misleading people to say that he's off the hook. He is so misleading. In fact, he got community noted. It says Vince McMahon settled with the SEC, so the Securities and Exchange Commission, without admitting denying its findings. This was exclusively about the hush money charges. Janel Grant's civil suit will go forward and use these findings as evidence, according to her attorney. Thank you, community notes. The community notes can be quite helpful. What the hell? Like, and you know what? The worst part about it is that he's purposely being misleading,
Mhm.
and it worked.
Yeah.
It absolutely worked. A lot of people said, "Oh, yep, he's off the hook. Case closed."
He's got Vince is a bad person, right? And there's so many people you go on, and these are the people that make me miserable. Is these people that still think Vince is like he hung the moon, right?
Yeah.
And these are people that never believe any allegations to begin with, right? These are your stand up for WWE guys. You know, they're rotten, and they're going to believe anything Vince says anyway. It's like truth doesn't matter. Like, especially we get this phrase, "I'm speaking my truth. I'm speaking my truth," and it's like,
Yeah.
no, you're lying. Like,
Yeah.
you're lying.
Your truth is lying.
So I had a thing with my kid before the show tonight. I was really proud of himself. He made himself his own fried. He's 8. He made himself his own fried eggs for dinner. Right?
Nice.
Did the work on his own. And then I'm like, hey man, make sure you put the plates and stuff in the dishwasher. I hear him in there, and I hear bang, bang, bang. I said, did you put it in the dishwasher? He goes, yes. So then on later, like an hour later, I'm cleaning up and there it is. It's in the sink. I'm like, you lied to me. And he was like, it was a mistake. I'm like, it wasn't a mistake.
No.
You lied. I said, I'm
Yeah.
not even mad because you didn't put the thing away. I'm mad because you lied to me and didn't even think twice about it. And then he started getting teary-eyed. I said, no. I said, man, I said, you have to learn to man up into this stuff. I said, when you make a statement, you have to lie. Like you can't just lie for the sake of lying because it's inconvenient at the moment. So he went to bed pretty upset himself.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm trying to I'm trying to impart this on him that lying for convenience is wrong, right? And that there's so many people in this world that just lie because it's convenient. It's like, well, I'm speaking my truth. No, you're a fucking liar. Stop being
Yeah.
a fucking liar.
Yeah. It's the old adage. The truth doesn't have to be true. It just has to sound truthful.
Yeah.
And that applies to pro wrestling. Here's what really happened. It said McMahon consented to the entry of the SEC's order finding that he violated the Securities Exchange Act by knowingly circumventing WWE's internal accounting controls, that he directly or indirectly made or caused to be made false or misleading statements to WWE's auditor. So basically, he made these payments to these different women while he was CEO and they're a publicly traded company, and that is illegal. So the order also finds that McMahon caused WWE's violations of reporting and books and records provisions of the Exchange Act without admitting or denying SEC's findings. McMahon agreed to cease and desist from violating those provisions, pay a $400,000 civil penalty, and reimburse WWE $1.3 million. Okay, so that was from the actual SEC website, the lawsuit. And then I had so Ann Callis, a lawyer for Janel Grant, who was a former WWE employee, filed a lawsuit against the company and McMahon, accusing him of sexual battery and trafficking, said in a statement that the SEC's charges are confirmation that McMahon broke the law to cover up his behavior. Ding, ding, ding. The SEC's charges prove that the NDA, Vince McMahon coerced Ms. Grant into signing, violates the law, and therefore her case must be heard in court. While the prosecutors for the Southern District of New York continue their criminal investigation. So the lawsuit is still going on. The criminal investigation by the Southern District of New York is still going on. So the case is not closed, Vince. We look forward to bringing forward new evidence in our civil case. So that was a statement from Janel Grant.
No, I say he's either lying or dumb, and I'm not sure which one it is, to be quite frank.
Yeah. I don't think the guy is dumb. I think he thinks everybody else is dumb, right? And honestly, he's not completely wrong.
I mean, I do think he's kind of dumb because, like, he's made a lot of smart decisions, but he's also made a shit ton of bad ones over the years.
Yeah,
it's just that his good decisions outweighed his bad decisions in the long run.
Well, I'm not talking about like just creatively dumb.
No, I'm talking about general. I'm
just talking about like he knows the laws is what I mean. Like he knows that he's not off the hook yet. He's intentionally lying because he knows that if he gets the word out there first, that's all people are going to remember, and the people that support him are going to say, "Yep, case closed. We're good to go. Nothing to see here."
But that's how he always handled things. That was the steroid trial. Remember when Stephanie McMahon did her thing? It was like the government came after it September 11th. She related it to her dad being a scumbag. She said, "Yes, all these people dying are just like when my daddy got attacked by that evil Janet Reno." Like it's astonishing to me the level of inaccountability that exists in that family.
Yeah, I mean, rich people don't feel like they have to be accountable to anything.
No,
we got some TNA people arguing with each other in the chat.
I saw that. I keep speaking over. Like, what are we fighting about?
We haven't even talked about TNA tonight. We got TNA fans in the chat just yelling at each other. It's TNA fans. I want to direct your attention to something. On Thursday night, I actually did a podcast with Joe Lanza on the Flagship Plus, on the Flagship Patreon. I knocked out about 40 minutes of TNA talk. I want everybody to go check that out. And if you're not a TNA fan, I think that you will actually still really enjoy it. If you are a subscriber to the Flagship and you just passed it up because there was some TNA talk, well, fuck you. You missed a bunch of good zingers. I told some good jokes. God damn it. I thought I was pretty entertaining.
Very proud of you.
Yeah. And Lanza seemed to really enjoy it. So we're actually going to try to do that like quarterly, where I'm going to be a special guest of Lanza. And then next week, I got a couple of other stuff lined up with people that are either part of the VOW world or they're VOW adjacent. A lot of people want to talk about TNA right now. They got a lot of stuff going on. Genesis is coming up. So JD, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you want to do next Sunday night for the show? Do you want the night off, which I think seeing as like you've been super busy, or do you want me to help you watch TNA Genesis next Sunday night and we can do a live episode right after Genesis?
I want you to help me watch TNA Genesis next week and we will do a live show.
Okay. So guys, next week, Joe Lanza said that this is like a TNA show. I'm like, Joe, this is not a TNA show. We don't talk about TNA that much on this show, but there's been some times where we talked about TNA. I said that we can't shake it. I was like, Brace for Impact is the TNA show. Well, next week is going to be a TNA show because we're going to be live right after Genesis next week. So I'm gonna help JD. I'm gonna help JD watch the show. We're not going to say how, but let's just say let's just say that my dad taught me to steal cable when I was like 2. Okay, so I just know how to get this. I know how to get shit done, right? So JD's gonna watch next week, and then probably the first time. And how many years has it been since you've watched TNA? Probably 2 years, right?
Easily 2. So when did we become the Mike and JD show? Like I think that was
2023.
Yeah, I want to say spring 2023, something like that.
Yeah,
maybe summer.
Yeah, no, spring. Yeah, I think it's been almost 2 years. Yeah,
because we came to Voices. I remember we came to Voices around the time school started. So we came to Voices in like August of 23. So it's probably been since like March, probably 2 years.
Yeah, March, April timeframe. Yeah. We so yeah, next week we'll be doing Genesis. I want to direct your guys' attention to our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. Earlier this week, I did it, dude. JD, for the first, like, it's been 2 years since you watched TNA. It has been, I want to say, 5 years since I've actually sat down and watched from opening credits to ending credits an episode of Monday Night Raw. Well, this week I actually did it. I actually sat down and watched an entire 3 hour Raw. I have seen highlights. I have seen YouTube videos. I've watched Hulu versions, like the quick, like 90-minute version, but I have not watched an actual 3 hour episode. And it has to be 5 years. It has to be since actually probably 6 years, 2019. And I did it this week. And I actually went, and I'm like, if I'm going to sit through this fucking shit, I'm gonna go to Patreon and actually do something. So I actually recorded a Raw after show for the Patreon. I want everybody to go check that out. Did you get a chance to watch Raw on Netflix?
No, I didn't have time. I was planning on it. We might, boy, all the kids at school were talking about Andy's school were talking about it, so he wants to start checking it out. So I guess Raw might become a thing for us in the future. We'll see.
Well,
I mean, I didn't see it. I saw the responses, and it did not seem like it got reviewed very well, which surprised me actually.
It was so this was for the sponsors and not for the critics. So I will say that the live crowd was hot the whole night. That they had 4 matches that they have been building for a very long time, and they paid off all 4 matches. So I think that if you're in that world, you really like it. But if you're a critic, they only had 4 matches over a 3-hour period, and the rest of it was an infomercial about WWE coming to Netflix, them teaching the Netflix audience what wrestling is, so much so that Triple H opens the show by talking about heels and baby faces and works and shoots and stuff like that, kind of explaining what wrestling is and telling the history in like a 5-minute video, the history of like pro wrestling and the evolution over the years, and kind of like broke the fourth wall.
That's a choice.
So he did that, and I didn't like, I kind of got what he was doing, so it didn't really bother me, but I don't really like it when I'm watching something, like even like a movie, unless it's a comedy. I don't like watching a movie and all of a sudden during the movie they tell me that what I'm watching is bullshit. But they introduced it that way, so I didn't really care about that so much. But so that's what they did, and then of course they had all the different commercials and like all the different celebrities are interviewing celebrities backstage because they have stuff coming out on Netflix. So they had Gabriel Iglesias introducing his stand-up show that's coming on, and they had all these different people. It was a whole thing. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed. A lot of it I didn't really care for because it's like, fuck, it's 3 hours, man. Give me like 6-7 matches in 3 hours. But no, you have to do the super drawn out entrances, the melodramatic finishes, the long promos, the long backstage sketch. That's your typical Raw.
Can you give me something that's like halfway between what Dynamite and what Raw are? Like, I feel like the one show's over here, the other show's over here, right? And they're like, I feel like somewhere in the middle is like a really good wrestling show that just, I guess doesn't exist, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if you like Genesis coming up. We'll see if I like Genesis. They got TNA's. They got a lot of turnover coming, so we'll see what the company looks like going forward.
I'll watch the show, but I'm going in there with a look, so we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm a hater.
Yeah, official Little Silver JD watching TNA in a long time. Big W JD. There you go. Dude, Little Silver Raw on Netflix was fire minus the Hogan appearance. Actually, the Hogan appearance was my favorite thing on the show. Yeah, that was awesome. Like, he came out, like, first of all, why in the hell, if you're WWE, would you trot out a guy that was at the Republican National Convention who wore a MAGA Powers t-shirt at the airport, who is a known, admitted racist in Los Angeles, in liberal-ass Hollywood? Why would you bring that guy out as a babyface? They should have brought him out as Hollywood Hogan, the NWO thing, and that probably would have got the reaction they were looking for. But they brought him out, and he proceeds to talk about how everybody loves him, and then he announces that his new beer company, Real American Beer, is the sponsor of WWE now, and they booed the shit out of him.
Nick Khan's not as smart as he thinks with everything. Like, I think that I think Nick Khan and Triple H, like their business is so good right now that they just don't think about these kind of things. Like, why would you boo Hulk Hogan? And I think that the fact that he was at the Republican National Convention probably made the people there happy.
Uh,
Like they think,
yeah,
yeah, he was at the
yeah,
Republican National Convention. Wrong
yeah,
place, wrong time.
right. So there's a big difference between the Republican National Convention and Los Angeles.
Yes.
Had they done that show in Austin, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, it might have been different.
Maybe
right?
not Austin. Maybe not Austin, Texas.
Not
Dallas,
Austin,
Texas.
but Dallas, definitely Dallas. Or if they'd have done it from Bumblefuck, Alabama, or whatever, it might have been a little bit different. But I'll be honest, like Undertaker came out and he got a huge pop. He was cheered, but he's also not like in your face about it, and also he didn't appear to be a racist, right? You say whatever you want. The guy's not racist, and so Hulk Hogan on tape admitted that he was racist.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan's not just a racist. He's like an unabashed, unapologetic racist and has never come out and said, that was wrong of me. I need help. I need to be better. Like he never owned up to being a piece of shit. He just kind of went with it.
I think if you're like JD, I assume you have like Republican friends, right? Like I assume that you're like a normal person. Like me too. Like I'm no longer affiliated with anybody because the other people fucking piss me off now too. But I don't really care if you're a Republican. It doesn't bother me at all. But if you're coming out saying you're a racist, I don't want anything to do with you. So that's why Undertaker got cheered. It's because like he's just like one of our Republican homies. But Hulk Hogan is not only a Republican, he is big time racist, kind of a scumbag. And even so, honestly, remove the racism from it. Like this guy has been doing other scummy things forever.
Like he's a rotten person. Like my buddy Joe, who did the Batman podcast with me, was the biggest Hulk Hogan fan growing up. Was for years. He texts me in the middle of Raw and is like, I can't believe they brought that piece of shit out there. They're booing him and it's good. Fuck that guy. And I was like, wow, this is a dude that in 2002 was like, I freaking love Hulk Hogan, man. Like,
you know what? I liked him too. And I was like a teenager when he did his comeback tour with WWE, and I made sure to go see him in Kansas City, Missouri. And it was like a big deal. But I didn't really know like all the ins and outs of, some of the stuff that he was, up to back then. But
I was smarky enough not to like him.
Yeah.
But not for the reasons I shouldn't have liked him. I didn't like him because he was.
Oh, you know what? Hold on, JD. Transferring Heat makes a good point here. He says Hulk Hogan isn't racist, but Terry Bollea is racist. Okay, that makes sense.
That's a great tweet. That's a great remark. That is.
Yeah.
That's an all-timer right there. That's Hall of Fame level. Well done.
Yeah, well done. All right, before we get out of here, I did have it on my list of things to talk about. Malachi Black gone from AEW. Thoughts?
I feel like we've had this conversation 10 times. Like I'll believe it when I see it. This man's contract is like the grassy knoll. Like everyone's, it's like it's like a Rorschach test. People read into it what they want to read into it. Like who knows? Like I don't care. I think that Ospreay and Buddy had a really good match actually, and I thought that Ospreay's post-match promo kind of led me to believe, oh, maybe Malachi is on his way out.
Yeah. Well, and Cope did the same thing with Brody King last night too.
That's true. Okay, I did see that on Twitter today. So, but
I did think it was pretty funny that Ospreay was, saying some encouraging words to Buddy Matthews, called him Buddy Murphy, then changed to Buddy Matthews. When Buddy Matthews has been in the business a little bit longer than him and is like 4 years older, but Ospreay's the star, right? But he's like, come on, kid, you keep it up, kid. You're gonna be good one day.
I found it to be so patronizing, patronizing. I'm like, is Buddy gonna kick Will in the face here? Like, this is what people talk about Will kind of being like, not reading social cues, kind of dumb for the room sometimes. Like, it was, I get what he was going for, but I didn't think it got landed, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for us this week on the Mike and JD show. Be on the lookout on Patreon. JD dropped a JD Oliva project on Friday, a quick one. I dropped 2 Brace for Impacts last week and a Raw reaction show. And if I continue to watch Raw, I'm going to continue to do Raw reactions because if I have to watch this shit, you guys have to pay to hear my thoughts.
I ain't watching Raw.
Yeah, and I didn't put it on YouTube for a reason. A, it wouldn't have done numbers, but B, I feel like if I have to watch, like, you have to pay to hear me talk about it. So
I like that.
Yeah. But all All right, guys, that is going to do it for us this week. Head over to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Ain't made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Ain't made no rain.